for letting us watch this on the big screen. This is incredible. So this epic 9-part series completes the trilogy that Playtone partners Gary Goetzman, Tom Hanks, and also Steven Spielberg made to commemorate the courage and sacrifice of American soldiers in the battle to stop Hitler's Germany and Japan in World War II. So it started with Band of Brothers, which tracked the U.S. Army's 101st Airborne Division. That won 6 Emmys. It continued with the Pacific, which told the story of the Marines in the Pacific Theater, and that won 8 Emmys. So we have an opportunity to find out, from the cast tonight, the challenges and thrills involved in putting together this awe-inspiring series, which has just crushed it in the ratings. First, I want to introduce Gary Goetzman, who, with partner Tom Hanks, has produced everything from the Mamma Mia films, Charlie Wilson's War, Man Called Otto, Polar Express, That Thing You Do, Philadelphia, and before that it was with Jonathan Demme on The Silence of the Lambs, and the Talking Heads docu Stop Making Sense. So, and in a bit of trivia, he was the inspiration for the main character, Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza. Masters of the Air marks the completion of 29 episodes of television, and there's a companion documentary, The Bloody 100th, narrated by Tom Hanks, and it features Steven Spielberg talking about what these courageous men did. Now, Gary, I got a question for you, because I expected you to come out alone, so... It's okay, all right, it's okay. I'll introduce you guys in a second. Why was it so important to you, to Tom, to Steven, to memorialize these stories?
Oh my God, because they're... Oh, I'm always bad at this part.
Hey, man.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. Listen, the best stories are from history, no matter what. Always, for us, nonfiction is always more fascinating than fiction. I know, it's just the way it is, and there's no greater stories of human cost, triumph, passion, love, and just the biggest story of our world is keeping it in a democratic, beautiful place. And so those stories, they're simple.
But now this one, I didn't realize until I watched it how important and crucial what these guys did. Because, we all remember Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan, but that D-Day invasion, it couldn't have happened without
these guys. Yeah.
What they did. Yeah. Talk about that for a sec.
Well, I mean, they were the tenderizer, right? On this tough steak. How's that? And it was our guys, the guys we talk about here, who ran those missions. They didn't exactly know how they were going to go,
Yeah.
And but it was important to soften up the mainland of Europe there so our boys could land without any more jeopardy than they already experienced.
And that's where the title came from. So now for the stars who played some of the brave soldiers in Masters of the Air. Let's start with Callum Turner, who plays Major John Bucky Keoghan, best pal of Austin Butler's character, Major Dale Buck Clevin. Now Callum's still got lats like a bat from all the rowing George Clooney made him do in The Boys in the Boat. Looking good. So Anthony Boyle plays Lieutenant Harry Crosby, who braved air sickness to become the 100's first navigator, and who guided the pilots through treacherous bombing runs to bullseye strikes that took out everything from German weapons factories, railroad supplies lines, and put the war on Hitler's doorstep. Now Anthony's versatile too. Now he's just it's coming out now, plays Lincoln assassin John Wilkes Booth in the Apple TV Plus series Mann. You're killing it, you know that, right? Now, we have Nate Mann, who plays Major Rosie Rosenthal. This heroic pilot who reached the 25 missions needed to go home, but he kept going, reached 52, getting shot down twice. And Barry Keoghan plays the heroic flyer, Lieutenant Curtis Biddick. Now, he was Oscar nominated for The Banshees of Inisherin, and we saw a lot more of his range, and even more than that, if you look closely, in Saltburn. And Rafferty Law plays Sergeant Ken Lemons, a captain mechanic who patched up these bullet-riddled planes and kept them airborne. And last but hardly least comes Josiah Cross, who plays Lieutenant Richard Lincoln, one of the heroic Tuskegee Airmen who were unsung at the time, but when given the chance, bombed the hell out of the Nazis. Welcome, gentlemen. So, Gary, Damian Lewis, Ron Livingston, Donnie Wahlberg, Tom Hardy, Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, Colin Hanks are among the many who popped in Band of Brothers, went on to have great career. In the Pacific, we had James Badge Dale, John Bernthal, Rami Malek, and many others who popped in the Pacific. How many speaking roles in Masters of the Air?
About 325 speaking rounds.
Wow. And now,
325 speaking roles.
So now Austin Butler has Elvis and Dune 2 now. Where was he then when you guys shot this? Because what I love about this is we're looking at this group of handsome young men, and some of you are going to be big stars. Some of you kind of already are.
Well, I got to tell you, these guys, all the great guys that went before them are great guys and fabulous. But I love these guys a lot, and really a real array of great actors in this show, and they've already got great careers going on, and things we'll see pretty quickly, I think. But what was the question?
I was sort of getting your reaction to these epic series as a propulsive force in launching big careers. And
well, we're really proud of that,
yeah.
you know, and we want to believe that that's the case, that we're really good at identifying young actors and actresses who really are going to bring it, you know, through their lives.
Yeah.
And we've just been lucky, I'll tell you, but we love them all.
So now, and you told me that, and you'll have to pronounce his name, Shooty.
Shooty, yeah, Shooty Gatwa.
Yes.
The new Doctor Who, right? Worked as one of the Tuskegee Airmen, and
yeah. And then Isabel May, she plays, you know, she's not in there that long, but
Isabel May is the fairy dust on this show.
She's the face that prompted Taylor Sheridan to write 1883. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of great things from her.
Yeah, wave, Izzy, will ya? Yeah, wow, we love you so much. She really, you wouldn't believe any other woman in the world could make Austin dream of them through the entire war. It's hard to find. Anyway.
She's here, she's wonderful. And I need you to raise the teleprompter to the next thing if you wouldn't mind. Boom.
You're reading?
I didn't want to be reading off note cards, but I'm only a semi-pro. So I want all of you guys, tell me a quality about your specific character that most connected you to your character. Let's start with Rafferty.
I mean, for me, there was so many qualities that I was inspired by when I kind of came to know Ken Lemons through his book and through the research I did. I think the thing that stuck out for me most was just his willingness to lead by example. He was always spoken of as such like a warm, humble, loving person. And I think throughout the show, it was really important to be able to kind of bring that to the ground crew and show from their eyes and their ears what they were going through as these guys went off on these missions and sometimes didn't return, or a lot of the time didn't return. So I think it was like his willingness to kind of push through and lead by example to his men.
And Barry, how about you? Boy, your character arc is just so shocking and gutting. I mean, it was incredible.
I died ages ago, like episode 3. It's crazy. Yeah. But they're in spirit, and what connects me? I mean, he's Irish, half Irish. I mean, given that, but you know, I wanted to kind of bring a sense of, you know, the Irish kind of bring a sense of humor to massive things. You know what I mean, and try kind of, you know, play and brush it under the carpet. So I wanted to kind of humanize and do that in a way. But yeah.
Well, and Josiah, how about you? I mean, you know, since things have been made about the Tuskegee Airmen, but it was a very interesting, their rise of importance in World War II was quite a thing to behold. What did you latch on to about your character?
For me, I think that historically, over time, specifically, I guess, I mean, with all of us sitting here, you know, outside of Gary, of course, but, you know, we come from a different generation. And I think that there's like a... Whoa! I really wasn't joking, my bad. I feel like for us, it's like there's sometimes a detachment, right? Because me growing up, you know, it kind of, these stories kind of felt like folktales in a way, you know what I'm saying? So to be up close and personal, I think what connected me or attached me to the story was that it really happened. It really happened, and specifically with the Tuskegees, they were in a lot of ways forgotten. You know, the allure, the fanfare of World War II, they're kind of like left out of the newspaper stories, the newscasts. So I kind of wanted to put a face, put a voice to it, you know, to actually have people care. If that makes sense.
And Nate, how about you?
Yeah, you know, I kind of remain bowled over by what Rosie was able to accomplish and his courage and, you know, learning about him and getting to, you know, watch some interviews with him when I was preparing for it. Just like the way people spoke about him, it wasn't just this, he was this man of tremendous honor, but also this man of great warmth and grace. And I was like, all right, if I can sort of balance those two, because in one hand, you're kind of like just astounded by what, you know, his choice to go back and to remain with them. But also, you know, he led with such with just this, you know, this warm sort of, he was just this warm handshake of a guy. I try to just sort of balance it between those,
And Anthony, what about you? Your character is a very interesting character. He starts really in a place of kind of embarrassment and projectile vomiting, and he ends up to be, you know, true hero.
Yeah, I think for me it was that what attracted me. Like when I read the script, I read the first couple of episodes, and everyone felt like they were in Band of Brothers, and Crosby felt like he was in an Adam Sandler B movie. Everyone was being very heroic and smoking and looking cool, and Crosby was going, "Oh God, I can't do this," and throwing up on people. And I thought, I want to play that guy. Well, that's the guy for me. I just don't know why. I just found him so interesting. There was a 10-minute clip of him speaking when he's in his 70s in the nose of a B-17, and he'd been through so much trauma, so much hurt, so much heartache, and he still spoke with such humor and such lightness, and I thought that was a real good inspiration, you know. I wanted to play him.
Yeah. And Callum, how about you? Now your character was, you know, his buddy kept him grounded, but he clearly had a temper, and you know, and what about that character did you latch on to?
I mean, there was a lot that I latched onto. There was a lot that I liked about John Egan, and you know, he has that temper, and he drinks a lot, and he dances, and he sings, and he wants to have a good time. But underneath all of that is a human that wants the best for the world. And him and Cleven joined up before Pearl Harbor. And that says a lot about him. You know, he wanted to fight the good fight in the way that he knew how or thought how, and I just had so much respect for him. You know, at the beginning of the war, this was an experiment. They lost a lot of men, and they didn't really know what they were doing. The bloody 100th was all over the place. At one point, General LeMay was going to shut that squadron down.
Wow.
And it was just that ferocious spirit that I attached myself to and enjoyed.
Well, you know, like what Josiah was saying about a generational disconnect, when I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, man, would I have the courage to rise to the occasion? How often did that occur to you guys as as you were kind of living?
As we got handed our coffees in the cockpit. No, that question would come into play, you know what I mean? And for me, I think we're spoiled these days.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it. You know, we have everything that we need, and the lads did try and create like the scenarios and the environment by being on the rig and that. But that question, yeah, definitely crossed.
I'd say, sorry.
When you go Raff.
No, I was just going to say, for me, on a daily basis, filming, I was always reminded of just how young they were. I was 23, 24 when we were shooting it, and Ken Lemons was 19. He was in charge of up to 50 men responsible for their lives. And even just kind of trying to put yourselves in those shoes on the day of filming, it's impossible but you can try and relate and try and get yourself there. But thinking of my little brother who was 19 at the time, thinking of putting him in a position like that and trying to kind of go back into 1942 and see what these guys were doing. Every day I was always reminding myself, and it was hard to kind of even put yourselves in those shoes to get there.
I definitely think that I myself was constantly reminded of the ease in which we live in the society today. The cars, you just press start, you go. You have no real like understanding or wherewithal of even what you're doing. And for specifically Lieutenant Macon to be that astute, with numbers and mathematics with these planes, to me, it wasn't like they were just like, flying to drop off cargo somewhere. They're flying to kill somebody, and I feel like that type of levity, I think, kind of all the guys carried it because we're all lifting each other up, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that was the biggest thing as far as connecting wise, where it's like, it's not about you, it's bigger than you. And I think that is kind of one of the, detachments of the, I guess the generation, because it's like people are just for them today, and these men couldn't be, so.
Also the percentages are so severe. I think 77% of men would go down, and wouldn't come home. So, they were putting themselves in the most volatile situations known to mankind ever. And they did it because they were fighting for something they believed in, they were fighting for each other.
Well, one of the things that came through in Technicolor was that they were made brave because of the camaraderie of the other members of the 100th, I think. And you shot this for a long time, and while COVID was raging in the UK. So what was the bonding like between all you guys? I mean, who was the best prankster among you? What are some highlights here? Was there a ringleader?
Heck off. We played games, yeah. Why am I saying that weirdly? But we did play games. We played like dice games, and someone else say something.
You mentioned camaraderie.
Yeah.
Right? And what happened?
Mike.
I just yelling at him.
Gary, you make all these great documentaries about musicians. They always are like this with the mic.
I know, I don't use a fucking mic, man.
Showing his generation, yeah.
Sorry, Leslie. But the camaraderie thing extends to a lot of places when you have something go on this long. And just by crook, no planning. We have a few people in the audience. I have to have stand up and say hello to us really quick. I know the boys are gonna love this too. The man who wrote all the music, every note in this fucking show, Blake Neely, is here somewhere. Look at him, he's just a pup. Look at him. Wow. Also here, the greatest living costume designer on the planet, Colleen Atwood. Somebody make her stand up. Colleen. Please, where are you? Give the light. Come on, let everybody see. Right. Mark Chichevsky is the editor on every one of these episodes. And boy, we lived together, didn't we, brother? I really miss you. I love you dearly. And Mike Minkler, multi-Academy Award winning greatest mixer on the planet, is here. Mike, where are you with those stupid glasses? There you are. Fantastic. And lift Jack up too. Here's our supervising sound designer. Look at them, they're hanging together still. Still sitting together at the board. Can't beat it. Mike, thank you so much for letting me point out people here who we love dearly.
Listen, absolutely.
Oh, and David Shields, one of the cast members. David Shields there. David, stand up. There's David Shields. We love David. All cast on. Anyone else within the cast? Yeah, there we go. Science Spielberg, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God! Sorry, Spielberg in the house. Tell God we were good.
Well, okay, you want to shout out more people?
No, I guess I just wanted to say that.
Well, what about Isabel?
Isabel, we did, didn't we?
Yeah, we
could do her again.
My mum is in the audience. And
Anyway, I know this event was for a different purpose, but you don't get to see things you do for Apple and other streamers in a theater like this. And to be able to see it here, rumor kind of spread out, and we had some crashers who I'm so happy they came. And thank you for that opportunity, Mike, because
Sure,
it's a
sure.
guys' event. Okay.
So Gary, this one's for you. So you got these young guys and a whole bunch of other young guys, 325 of them to be precise, and you're all away on a road trip and you're shooting this thing for like a year at the height of COVID in the UK, where they were really strict. And Barry said they were playing games. Probably a lot of them were kind of drinking games, I would imagine. So what was it like to keep all these guys in line at a time when, and how big of a factor was COVID when you shot?
Wow. This production spent $60 million on COVID. Wow. That's prevention, that's being closed down on days. If anybody was in a restaurant and somebody got COVID in it, the NHS would nick everybody and you would have to stay in your house for 10 days. And people in England believe the NHS. They call you, they knock on your door. They are a fabulous organization.
They're also here. Stand up.
Hey, you know what?
That was good.
We keep talking about how great these boys are. I've got to mention Lucy Bevan, who is the greatest casting person in the world, who cast this show. And for the amount of speaking roles that we had and all the problems we had, and nobody really got cast in person. They were all cast on Zoom, if you can believe that. And so, anyway, she was just fabulous. But
you didn't answer my question. I'm sure you were the one who was responsible for checking up on these young men and making sure they weren't gathering in a crowd and that they were doing all those protocols. How big of a challenge was that, and who was the biggest violator?
You really want to know, don't you?
I
do. Barry, that's incredible. I didn't think, we never said anything anywhere. Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, Barry was my biggest problem early on, but it was only for...
I'm good now.
It was only, it was only for a couple of days.
Is that why he went out in episode 3?
Oh, yeah, I said, hey, trouble you get killed off. Don't watch it. That's how it goes. No, of course.
Well, you know, now Nate, your character and that scene in that last episode, you get rescued by the Russians, and Rosie sees exactly what the Nazis were doing to Jews and others they considered outcasts. It was so eerie to watch. Describe what shooting that was like and what the biggest challenge was for you to be faced with just such an atrocity.
Yeah, I mean, you asked an earlier question about sort of what it means to ask yourself, you know, what do these men fight for, right? And how do you connect with that? And the question really for us is like, what would I fight for, right? Like, what would it mean for me? I think we all have something. Like everyone has something like that they would. And you know, in preparing for this, it involved kind of two things, because it was a connection to this story, that this part of Jewish history, which I have a personal connection to, and then the experience of shooting it is one of just processing, right? So like what brings him in there, and then it occurred to me watching it tonight that like the only thing from that whole sequence, from landing to getting back, I only ask questions, right? Like he's only just like, can I go stretch my, like what's happening? Like, there's more of these, like, where are you gonna go? What's gonna go next? And it's that comprehension, right? That act of comprehension to piece it all together for him that I really, because, the alternative is just like, but he doesn't know. He doesn't know what he was in for.
Well, it was shocking. So, what I loved about this whole series is that there were many characters, but all of you had your moments to shine. It was very well choreographed that way. But when you're over there and you're marching in that mud and the rain, what was the toughest part, would you say? The thing that was like, oh my God, I got to get up in the morning and do this again? What was the toughest thing?
It was really cold too. That was not fake. I'm just saying, it really was cold.
Gary spent $60 million on COVID stuff and no heaters?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No, we had heat.
They had these hand warmers for us, but they really didn't
They were
work.
cute.
They was cute. Yeah.
There were plenty of things to keep people warm. We did have work to do, Mike. We couldn't just sit in our
It
trailer.
was too fucking hot sometimes though, up there, with the suits. Yeah.
We had air conditioning, ice blocks.
We actually did. We had like a cooling pack attached to us. Really spoiled.
Well, in Top Gun Maverick, Tom Cruise set up this boot camp where he taught the actors to be able to withstand acting in jets, because basically he was the only one in the first film who didn't go up and try to say dialogue and vomit their faces off. So, and they learned how to do it, but I know it's a bit of movie magic here, but let us in on how you were able to pull this off technically. Did these guys take to the skies? The footage is absolutely breathtaking. We're watching them get bombed from above. We're watching them drop their payload. We're watching them try to duck bombs that are coming from from the ground. Tell us how let us in a little bit. How much flying was there? Did these guys go up in the air? How did you guys do this?
Mike.
Don't worry about it. We're going into overtime. You don't want to answer that, do you?
Well, no, I don't really want to answer that. I kind of like what people think happens, I always say behind the scenes kind of stuff and things that get explained that everybody loves in the world, but I like to just see it and go, wow,
I like it.
He's got an answer.
Did you guys settle for that answer? Well, let me ask it this way.
Well, what you asked, by the way,
Yeah,
is a look. But,
what was the toughest thing and the most ingenious thing that somebody thought up to be able to make the flying look as real as it did and not have these guys just, airsick, even on the ground?
Well, we had a system. They could get airsick. It's like a ride. They're on a ride. They're in a cockpit and stuff's flying around them, and we're trying to help them
Jet lag.
visualize what's going on in the air at the time. They get to react to things that are a little easier than the old systems of in a CGI green screen, flash a red light, hey, no, there's the bomb, and you could actually give them stuff that was a little better. In the end, it's not a perfect art, and what happens is you do fall back on the greatest CGI I feel I've ever seen in my life, which was done for us by Steven Rosenbaum, who's in this audience. Steven?
They'll CGI him later.
Where is he? Steven, oh my God, he's here. But anyway, seriously, I've done a lot of this in my career, and I just think he's amazing what he does. Really great.
But unfortunately, now we have this image of we were having a group shot while you were on the set, we'd have these guys all covered in ping pong balls, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
On screen. No, this was, I'm kidding. I mean, this was absolutely brilliant. So now, Gary, how long did you put into this? Is it 3 years? Is that fair?
Yeah, 3 years, sure. 3 years, sure.
Wow.
We shot for 10 months, guys, right?
10 years.
Well, when you start developing something.
And so a movie like Greyhound, which you also made, and which was a big hit on Apple TV Plus, how long did that take to make?
Well, that's more in the 3-month range of shooting, right? You still spend 6 months posting it. The interesting thing about Greyhound is that there is not one drop of real water in a movie that's entirely on the North Atlantic. So it just shows you these. Stephen Rosenbaum, what do you do without that guy? What do you do without him?
Well, now, so I'm sure there are other stories to tell in World War II. What a gigantic time commitment. What do you think? You and Tom and Stephen go back to the well one more time and tell a different aspect? 'Cause we certainly don't get tired of watching them.
No, but you know, I really feel like we did this trio of movies, and we never thought we were going to do another one after the one we did. But I'm pretty sure we're about done. And these things kill you more in their length than anything else. They take a long time. These guys are tied up forever. You know, you're really just working on all cylinders for a very long period of time. You get a great sequence that you just love and it's just killing you, and then you got 8 hours and 49 minutes more of a movie. You know, it never seems to end. You're chipping away at the biggest rock you could ever imagine. Am I whining?
No, you're not.
I think we're more, you'll see 1.5-hour movies coming out of all of us, I think.
And how you wonder if you'll see that many ambitious things that are that ambitious. What sort of a budget was this? Can you tell us?
Well, I think everybody knows this was between 250 and 300 million. And
Wow.
you know, I went, yeah, man, we're gonna kick its ass. You want to leave, sir? No. Oh, okay, I just wanted to. I see you packing up your luggage. But now that's not a lot of money. I mean, most of these movies you're enjoying nowadays are like over 200, 250, and they're lying. Right. So, but we're not. But that's how much it was. I think it's time we told.
What an incredible commitment. And so now I've got dialogue up there, which you need to roll a little bit. Is there anyone on this list that we did not give a shout out to?
Austin?
What about Colleen Atwood? Did we? Okay.
We've got everybody on this thing.
Mark, did we? Mike Minkler, we got him. Blake Neely, we did. Jack Whitaker, Stephen Rosenbaum, we did. Billy Rich.
Billy Rich? Billy, stand up. Billy's one of our other fabulous editors.
Right. Well, you know what? This is extraordinary. If unless you guys have some experience that you would like to share, I think we've done what we need to do here. Cool?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming.